No more being told what to do, no more being the maid. Decorate how you like and get that freedom. You want to move out in 2024, and I'm here to help you do that. Whether you're staying at your parents' house, staying with a friend, whatever the case is, you want to get out. Here are 5 tips to help you get out of there ASAP. It might be a little bit all over the place. I don't think it will be, but it might be. I'll have a list in the description box just in case it is, so you can follow along. First thing you want to do is save first, obviously. If you need to work overtime, get you a job that has the overtime capabilities like bartending, Amazon warehouse. Even though I've heard a lot of bad things about there, but you need to do what you need to do to get out of there. Or you can also be a security guard. Just any job that allows you the ability to get some overtime pay. I would recommend saving for the first 3 months of your potential apartment. I'm gonna just say, like, depending on the type of place you are, the location that you want, just a lot of different things. I think the average for apartments right now are like this, so save that times 3. You can put it into your emergency savings account. Once that base savings amount is saved, you want to start saving for things like appliances, groceries, furniture, things like that. That adds up. I'm not gonna hold you. Same as before, depending on your taste level, what specifically you like and prefer, this number could be very different. This should not include the 3 months that you're planning on saving, but whatever number you come up with, double it. Triple it even. If you think all you'll need is 5K, make it 10. If you think all you need is 10K, make it 20. If you think all you need is 20K, make it 40. Now, let's say you're gonna be bringing some of your old furniture, some of your old clothes, some of your, just like some stuff with you in general, then maybe you have some wiggle room on that number. You wouldn't want to save way more than what you originally are budgeting for, just in case something happens. Your goal should be to spend less, but definitely still save more. Regardless of whether you're trying to move out or not, save more and then just spend less. And honestly, in the chance that you don't spend everything, you can do so much with the rest of that money. You can either spend it, which I don't recommend. You can at least put it towards your emergency savings account, if anything. But you could spend it, put it towards your emergency savings account, invest it. That's a great option as well. Overall, you want to be able to save enough for, let's say, like move-in expense. If you're coming in from out of state and you have a car that you want to bring, right, you have to include the fee for transporting a car across state. If you're shipping some of your items, let's say clothes, whatever, you want to include the fee for shipping that. If you have move-in fees, if they want you to pay first month's rent before you move in, you have to put all of that into consideration and calculate exactly how much you would need for all of that. Because I know when I was moving, I definitely had all of this set up. I was thinking about it months in advance. So mind you, this isn't something that you're going to be able to do next month, right? Unless you got the funds like that, then do you. But it's like, if you did, I feel like you wouldn't be watching this video. You would already know. It's like, nah. But for me personally, I think, I can't remember the exact moment I started saving, but I definitely had a separate account that all my apartment fees would go into. I was moving out of state, so definitely transporting the car, clothes, and maybe like some appliances here and there that I wouldn't want to buy. But a lot of the stuff I bought once I was here, because I didn't want to have to go through all that moving, and it would have just been too much. So the furniture, the TVs, the mirrors, kitchen appliances, small things like a laundry hamper, like you have to include and budget for all that. What I didn't budget for was groceries. I budgeted pretty well for like the furniture and all of that, but I did not consider groceries. I didn't think about it. I don't know why. Like, I didn't think about how I would need to eat for real, which is crazy because like you need to survive. But I wasn't thinking about that. I was just like, oh, I just need the furniture, I just need the appliances, I need this. I have the appliances but no food to cook it with. Can you imagine? So yeah, that's definitely something you should consider, especially since groceries are extra high right now. I think just the basics in general. If you want to revamp certain things, like let's say you want to do the whole, like, you know how TikTok, they'll be like, oh, I redid my closet with the Target bookshelves, blah blah blah. If you want to do stuff like that, you know, you gotta include all them fees. I didn't come with a lot of clothes in general, and I need to buy new clothes as a whole, so include fees for that too, because clothes are expensive and I want quality pieces, so it's gonna be expensive. Those are some of the things that I feel like you should definitely be thinking about that I don't think a lot of people remember to think about. Even my apartment, I haven't started decorating. I just got the major appliances out the way and now I need to decorate, but Decorating is a whole another thing. I'm just not ready for it mentally, because like if I don't like it, I'm gonna have to send it back, and then that's a whole process. But that's besides the point. Anyways, the next thing you want to do after you figure out the numbers that you're gonna need to save for and stuff is determine if you want to live by yourself or with another roommate. Some apartments offer you the ability to like room with someone that might be moving in, or maybe they want a roommate. So ask, wherever you're going, ask them like, hey, do you guys offer this? But if they don't, and you know like, oh, you would want to move with a friend or something, ask them and see like if they're down to move with you. But if you really want to live by yourself, obviously you don't need this. Like, you can skip this step. If it's across the country, take only the necessities and try to buy everything once you're there instead. If you do this, the number that you need to save is going to increase even more. But I feel like it makes things so much easier. You don't have to deal with the movers and stuff like that. And something else that I actually found out when I was looking into whether or not I wanted to use movers, or if I wanted to drive down there, or what I wanted to do, right? I saw a lot of reviews for a variety of movers where it's like they'll come to you the day of, and then once they like put your stuff in the truck, now it's like, oh, I know we quoted you this amount, but it's actually going to be triple that amount. And a lot of people felt like they couldn't do anything because it's like, oh, I have to leave right now, they're telling me this now, I don't have time to like find somebody else. I think that is so horrible, because you know they have to move out of this apartment on this day at this time, and you're telling them a higher fee. What if they can't afford it? I feel like that's so horrible, because if they can't afford it and they're like, oh, I can't afford it, well, two, I believe. But the company that I actually went with, I'm gonna try to find their name and put them up here. They are the ones that HGTV, like the homeowner renovation people, that's the company they be using. So I was like, okay, like, you know, I feel like it's credited enough. I was really going by faith, because they could have been just anybody, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go with them because they said they have HGTV on their website. Like, girl. But luckily they were actually very good. They were professional. They communicated like through their portal, and it was very quick, nothing crazy. They gave me a timeline like, oh, it'll take 5 to 7 days to get to the destination, but it only took, they said it would take 3 to 7 days to get to the destination. It got there within 3 days, and then they were like, hey, when you're ready for us to bring it to your new location, let us know. But I think I skipped some steps. Let me go back. You call them up, you tell them how much you have, what you're bringing, blah blah blah, how much it's gonna weigh, all of that. If it's like a 1-bedroom, mine was less than 1 bedroom, so I was definitely charged for less, but overall is way less than if you had movers. But they give you the option to use either a truck or a pod, and you only pay for what you use, right? So however much you use, however much it weighs, that's what you get paid. That's what you pay. Oh my gosh, English. Once everything was set up over the phone, they emailed me and they were like, okay, when we're on our way, or yeah, when we're on our way or 15 minutes away, we'll call you. Are you sure you're gonna be home this day? I'm like, yeah. So they called. The guy was nice too. He came, he dropped it off on our driveway, and then they left. And then actually no, they taught me how to like open it and like use a lock and all of that. And even though, I mean, our neighborhood was safe, so like that wasn't a problem, but I'm gonna talk about that later. Call them up like, hey, I'm ready for pickup. They're like, you're done packing? I'm like, yeah. And then they came, picked it up, put it on their truck, and it went on its merry way. They recommend that, especially if you have like any glass or breakable items, they said don't put like acetone and flammables and stuff in there, because the thing does move a lot, so it could aggravate it, and then that's your stuff, poof, gone. They take it and then they drive it to the location that you're looking for them to drive it to. By the time I got to my destination, they had already called me like, hey, we're ready to deliver. And I was under the impression that they only delivered on the weekday, but they deliver on the weekend as well. I think it depends on the location though, but they deliver on the weekend. So by the time I was here, I was there. The only thing with that is, and I think because of was it because of my apartment? I can't really remember what, but I had to hire somebody off of TaskRabbit to help me move the stuff in, and it wasn't that bad. If you're a guy, it's like 2 people could do that. The person that I hired, I told him everything I had, and I'm kind of confused as to why they didn't bring somebody, because I told them, I was like, you're gonna need to bring somebody else, but they didn't do that. They just brought themselves. So it took a little bit longer, but luckily I had a great friend. I had an angel with me that day, and she went up and down them stairs with the guy, and then I stayed down there. U-Pack. It was U-Pack. That's the company I use. Oh, in addition to taking only the necessities, I would say if you don't have a car and would need to get a car, buy it in cash. Don't go buying a new car, or even if it's not new, don't give yourself another expense, especially a monthly expense. When you move, you don't really know the exact amount of everything that you're going to be using: electricity, water, gas. You don't know how much is going to come out to. So at least wait, if anything, to see what your monthly fees are looking like. And then if it's like, okay, I can, if I got a car, I would be able to pay it off or pay it monthly and still be, still keep myself afloat. If that's the case, then you can get a car, but don't get it right away. It might seem annoying and be obnoxious for the first month or 2, honestly, but you'll be like, thank goodness I waited. Especially if it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I can't afford all of these expenses, then it's like, should have waited. These are not in order, but the next thing you want to do is make a list of non-negotiables. Figure out what your top priorities are. Mine was security. I didn't want to be anywhere where the crime rate was too high. I didn't want to be anywhere where you're hearing guns go off all the time. I wanted to be safe. I didn't want to be in an apartment where it's like anybody could just enter. I wanted the garage to be covered, especially if it's an area where it's like it's prone for break-ins and stuff. I would much rather a covered gated garage. That way it's prevented in some type of capacity. And even with the security thing, like if you are also looking for a secure area, you could go to the next step and be like, hey, I want a physical security guard at the apartment that like reviews the videos on a regular basis, and there's actually security cameras that are on and working in literally like every corner of every floor. Like obviously those places cost more, so you got to keep that in mind. Speaking of cameras, just because they have security cameras does not mean that it's a secure area, because some of these apartments will have security cameras just for decoration. It don't even work. Or they'll have security cameras at a certain angle in, like, let's say the garage, because they just want to see the license plates that come in and out of there, but they don't really do anything with it. But anywhere else in the garage, let's say, it's like anybody could do anything because nobody's tracking anything. Like definitely do your research to determine if there are like any bad reviews that are security related. Especially security is a concern of yours. You can also research or look into places like the schools that are in the area, what kind of scores they have. Are they high rated schools? How close is a police station or an ambulance, especially if something happens to you, like, and you need to call a police station, or if you need to call up an ambulance. I don't know, it might supposed to be expensive. I will call Uber. But regardless, if you need to call somebody for help, how quick is it? How quick could they be to you? How quick could oh my gosh, how quick could they get to where you are? Another thing you might want to consider is how soundproof the buildings are. Like if you can hear your neighbor upstairs or your neighbor right next to you, then like you may not want to live there, because how you gonna sleep if you can't hear them? That means they can hear you. Another thing is if you prefer newer buildings. The thing with newer buildings is, yeah, you're the first person to live there, but you're also the first person to live there. Obviously, it's not every single unit that they've been in to check to make sure everything works accordingly and is running smoothly. So you'll be the first one to experience those things. But also I found, at least the area I'm in, I found that they're not very like on top of it security wise. There's a lot of things. I feel like they spent more money on like the aesthetic and certain things that they forgot security was going to be an issue. Honestly, it's not even just apartments. A lot of companies in general, security is like the last thing they think about, which is crazy because like, what? You don't want people to feel safe living here? After you figure out what your like top or number one non-negotiable is, then you can go into the details of the apartment, how you want it to look. If you don't mind a dark countertop, whether it's in the kitchen or the bathroom, the size of your bathroom, if you prefer a standing shower or a tub, if you want his and her sinks or just one sink is fine. Oh, if you need to have a medicine cabinet in there, if you want a certain type of shaped kitchen or island, whatever the case is, make sure you jot all of these things down. I feel like my next apartment, I would definitely prefer one that doesn't have dark countertops, because or even the ceramic type. I don't know what kind of countertop it is, but it always feels so grainy, like it's dirty but you just cleaned it. I hate that feeling. I want me a smooth finish and light. It don't have to be that light, but like the one I have is mad dark. The next thing that you'd want to do is do your research, look into the reviews. What does the company have major problems with that you probably don't want to deal with? Who actually owns the building? And are the reviews about the person that owns the building also good? Like research into them people too, because they'll tell you a lot. Look at their Instagram if they have one. Look into the property managers, the leasing agents. Look into everybody. Look into everybody that you can find. Every little detail that you find, go ahead and do another search on that specific detail regarding that apartment, because especially if you're from out of state, you don't want to just move into anywhere. Something else that some people may not consider is look into the direction of your room. Like, does it face north, west, south, east? Northeast, southwest. I don't know why I just did that, but look at the direction it faces, because sometimes if it's facing, I forget which way the sun be setting, you have to consider if you want to be at the top floor. Top floor is probably like more extreme weathers. Everything hits you first. Like if it's cold, your place is probably colder than the rest of the floors. If it's hot, your place is probably hotter than the rest of the floors. That's like your electric bill going up. I personally prefer top floor, just because if there's soundproofing issues, there's nobody above you, so you can't hear the next person. I mean, you might be able to hear your neighbors, but like I don't think so. Let's say there's 4 floors and they don't have floor 4 available, you might be able to do floor 3. It just depends on what you're looking for, how you feel about sound, how you feel about the weather, stuff like that. I would recommend you visit. If you cannot visit in person because you live out of state or whatever the reason is, get you a locator. They are free, mind you. They are free. They get paid by the apartment. It's like, I think it's one of those things where it's like low-key they recommended you for the apartment, so they're getting paid for their recommendations. So they get paid for it, so you don't have to worry about it. They're free. I found mine on TikTok. I had 2 actually. One of them, we just communicated via like phone and email. They were like, what are you looking for? And I gave them what I was looking for. Tell me why what they sent me wasn't anything near what I was looking for. I was like, I'm looking for safety. That's my number one. The majority of the stuff on the list she sent me was not safety focused. So I'm like, why would you ask me what I'm looking for if you weren't gonna provide it? And I understand like a lot of locators have a set list that they're supposed to send out, but my thing is, you asked me what I'm looking for, so why wouldn't you adjust it accordingly? I don't know. I did not respond to her. She didn't reach back out to me anyway, so I'm pretty sure she forgot. I ended up finding someone else through another video that I had seen. TikTokers will do like apartment hunting tours, and they'll tell you the price of whatever they were looking at, the square feet and the location and stuff like that. I saw one and she was like, oh, the place I got was just better for the price and the square feet and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, like, do you mind? Are you comfortable sharing it? Like, you don't have to, because I am a stranger on the internet. But she was like, no, but I'll share my locator with you. And I'm like, okay, perfect. So the locator she had, the one that she sent me, chef's kiss. She lives in my neighborhood actually. Sis called me. We set up a time to talk on the phone, and she was like, yeah, like I really want to get a better understanding of you, because like there's only so much you can do on the phone. And I was like, yes, this is what I'm looking for. The preliminary list were already good options, but then the ones that was curated to me was even better. So I would say get you a locator. Speaking of which, they can tour the apartments for you if you wish them to, and I would recommend you do that, because They don't be telling you this, but a lot of the deals that apartments be having is because you toured. So like the touring price is separate from like, oh, I'm over the phone talking to them like, oh, I like this apartment, blah 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 blah. If you tour, you get a better price, because even the apartment I'm in, like online is one price. That's not what I pay. Even with all the utilities included, that's not what I pay. We're in the last section. My battery's dying, so hopefully I can get through this real quickly. These are some things that I want y'all to keep in mind. So first thing is bills. Don't forget to budget for it. Don't get floor 1 because bugs are more likely to enter your room at that level. Like, don't do floor 1. It's like you probably gonna be hearing the person above you. The floors, the bugs are coming into your room. Like they just don't do that. Preferably top floor, but if not, like one below is fine, just not the very very lowest ground floor. I'm not exactly sure where I left off before my camera died, but hopefully I finished the last sentence. The third thing I was talking about was deals. Some of these apartments can take a whole $500 off just because you spent time there and toured. They typically give you like 72 hours to decide if you're gonna take it or not. Try to make good use of it. If you're gonna tour a whole bunch of places in one day, if you know for a fact it's an absolute no, then fine. But if you don't, if you're like, let me tour some other places, tour them right away so that you can come back to it, because either somebody gonna take it or the deal's gonna be gone. Because after 72 hours it's like, dang, like we try to give it to you, you're out of luck, sorry. That's the end of this video. I feel like I was talking for so long. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it very useful and can get out of there ASAP. Circle back to this video if you end up moving out and you utilize any of these tips. Even if you're just using the transportation pods, let me know how it goes for you. I'll see you guys in my next video.